Hey everybody, this is Robert and I'm going to do a quick review on the Samsung Q80R. The Q80R is a great TV. I give this TV 2 thumbs up. It's a very bright TV. It performs best in the bright room settings. And one of the advantages to this TV model is its optical layer glass, which gives you great viewing angles. However, I noticed the colors tend to degrade when viewed up close at an angle. However, nobody really watches TV from an angle up close, especially a big television. There's no purpose of watching a TV that close at an angle, but overall the viewing angles are pretty good. The biggest con to this television I experienced was this TV just being too bright when running HDR and you need to access the Samsung menus. On the television, it can be a bit like overbearing to the eyes. However, this can be fixed when changing the theme on the operating system to a black theme. So as you can see here, I have a black theme. But if you go to, let's say, the white theme, it'll get very bright when you're running HDR. And it can be a little overbearing on the eyes. It can be a little too bright on the eyes. So just if you do plan to get this TV, just switch that theme to a black theme because this TV is very bright. The Titan operating system seems to run slightly slower than the Q70R operating system. I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure if I got a bad panel because when I opened my television from Best Buy, one of the seals seemed to be open, but I mean everything seemed to be brand new. So it's hard to tell if like I bought an open box and they sold it to me as new, typical Best Buy. But just be aware of that. For my panel, I had a slow operating system. So what I mean by slow operating system is when you go through these menus, there's kind of somewhat of a slowdown at times. Compared to the Q70R's operating system, that thing was butter smooth. So that's one of the advantages to the Q70R is if you're planning debating whether to get the Q70R or the Q80R, the Q70R is going to have better fluid operating system from what I can tell. Not sure if it's my panel though, just be aware of that. The motion for this TV is amazing. It's much better than the Q70R's motion performance and even better than the Samsung MU8000. So it's even better than my Samsung MU8000. I kind of said in my last video that the MU8000 was had better motion than the Q70R, so just be aware of that. But you know that just the motion for the Q70R is not that bad either. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, the colors for the Q80R are slightly more colorful than the Q70Rs. However, you'll get much more color pop environmency from a Vizio M or Vizio P from 2018. You also get more color pop from a TCL R625, a Q8FN, or H9F. So just kind of be aware of that. This color it's a little more colorful than the Q70R, but not by much. It's just a slight better color saturations for this one, but they're almost identical. And I wonder if that has to do because the Q70R is better. The Q70R is not pre-calibrated correctly out of the box, and maybe the Q80R is a little more, as it has a better pre-calibration settings. So just be aware of that. To those who want more color saturated colors from Samsung, I honestly recommend you skip the 2019 lineup and wait. Let's see what they have for the 2020 lineup because the colors are not as vibrant and as popping as I was expecting. But like I said, if you really want a Samsung TV, I just say personally just wait for the 2020 lineup. They might make these colors, these QLEDs more colorful, and just save your money. But if you're planning to get these TVs, you're just going to get a more natural cinematic look when you get these 2019 lineups. So be aware of that. I noticed when watching movies in widescreen, the horizontal black bars tend to have soft blacks opposed to inky blacks. However, picture quality is still amazing, but you'll get better darkening performance from a Q70R since the Q70R can produce better blacks. This is because the Q70R has a high native contrast ratio. With a high native contrast ratio, you're going to get better blacks. So what I noticed about this television, it's really great in the morning. So it's going to look like an OLED in bright room settings. But when it comes to darkroom settings, this is where the TV kind of underperforms. This is where the Q70R does shine, because the Q70R has a high native contrast ratio of 8,000 to 1, opposed to the Q80R has a native contrast ratio around 3,000 to 1. And with the local dimming on, you could probably get 5,000 to 1. So when you're in a darkroom settings, it's going to look kind of grayish. Your black bars. It's still gonna look pretty black, but not as inky as black as the Q70R. So the way I see it is, if you plan to get the Q70R, it'll be great for movies, but just be aware with the Q70R, you might have to get it professionally calibrated because the colors seem to be off. Now, the Q80R seems to be more color accurate compared to the Q70Rs. So that's one advantage to it. But the biggest advantage to this TV I see is the viewing angles. It's a little brighter. The color's a little more saturated compared to the, let's say, the Q70R. But that's from what I can tell. Now, one thing I kind of noticed about this TV was the motion for gaming is amazing. This TV looks great for gaming, which I personally enjoy because I'm a gamer. But when it comes to movies, I kind of see where it kind of becomes a con on this TV, because when you're in a darkroom setting, and usually when you watch movies, you tend to watch it in dark sometimes, this TV kind of underperforms in that area. But this is just me being nitpicky. I'm not saying this TV is bad when it comes to movies. It's actually really great. The picture quality is amazing. But I have to be honest with my reviews, and the Q70R does perform better when it comes to movies and darkroom and dark scenes. So if you're watching a lot of dark movies, the Q70R is going to outperform the Q80R. But when it comes to motion, the Q80R does outperform the Q70R. And when it comes to color, the Q80R does outperform the Q70R. And when it comes to brightness, Q80R does outperform the Q70R. But where the Q70R does shine is when it comes to its inky blacks, so its contrast ratio. And it's going to look comparable to the OLED in bright room settings and dark room settings. Okay, the Q80R does look as good as the OLED, but only in bright room settings. Now, the advantages of the Q80R, like I said, was the viewing angles. But you do get, when I kind of noticed, is you do sit in the side from an angle, and you're watching movies with a local dimming, you kind of get some blooming. So in order to reduce the blooming, you have to kind of still sit in the middle. But the colors don't degrade, but you do kind of you can notice blooming when it comes to you're sitting in the angle. So just be aware of that. But overall, this TV is really great. One thing I enjoy about this television is its design of the television. Okay, the design. At first I was kind of nervous about the duck feet, but it actually looks pretty good. I actually like it. It looks sleek. It looks a little more stylish than the Q70R in my opinion, but I do like the Q70R a little more. But they both look good as in design wise. I just want to throw it out there. This TV does output a 4K HDR with gaming, but just be aware it does not output 4K with 120 hertz. I'm sorry, with 120 hertz. So you can get 2K 120 hertz, but you can't get a 4K signal with 120 hertz. So you also don't get the silver model. You get this controller as well. I was kind of bummed out. I was hoping to get the silver finish, the metallic Samsung controller finish, since it's such a high price for this television. So just be aware of that. So I really feel that what Samsung's trying to do is they're really focusing on their Q90R, and they're making that, that's the flagship model, where that's the TV to get. Now this TV is pretty good, but if you're debating whether to get the Q70R, the Q80R, I honestly would have to recommend the Q70R, because the price is much cheaper, and you can use that money to buy a better sound system. Now, I'll be doing another video on the Samsung Q80R, giving more further analysis of the television. But this TV is really great. The motion's great. If you're very picky about the motion, this TV's great for you. I personally going to plan to keep this television because I love the motion for it, and I also like the finishing glass. It's kind of like this finishing last layer of the glass of the Samsung is beautiful. It's I can't really describe it. It's not like a semi-gloss finish. It's more like it's like a glass finish. So that's it, guys. Also, it's really great in bright room settings. No reflections of what I've noticed. And I'll be doing another video as well, guys. Alright, guys, thank you for watching. Please leave comments in the section below, and I'll respond to them.